Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another session of CXpert Share, where we have real subject matter experts share real stories about how they're helping their customers impact their business. And today is no exception. We're going across the pond, as it were, to talk to my friend Giles. Giles, thank you for joining us, man.
It's great to be here, Brandon, and thanks so much. And I hope that all your listeners can understand my accent coming here from the
I'm,
region.
I'm sure they'll love it. But so speaking of that, give us a little background on you and your organization, where you are, and what you guys do.
Pleased to do that. So I'm the owner and director of Great Outcomes. We're based here across Australia and New Zealand. I'm calling in today from New Zealand, from Auckland, but we also cover Melbourne, Sydney, the big cities of Australia. We've got customers in both countries. We've got staff in both countries. Look, we've been in business for like more than 10 years. We eat, sleep, and breathe contact center. Someone said to me one day that we eat contact center for breakfast. Everything in our life is about contact center. We love it. We're at home, walking into contact centers, helping people, whether they work from home, hybrid, still in the office, everything there is to do with contact center and making them as operationally excellent as we can.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that. I know you've been in this space for a while. I love the name of your organization because I know you actually do produce great outcomes for your customers. So I love that. And hey, listen, you're in a country that I love too. You're in a part of the world that I really enjoy. So thank you for joining us for this. Um, the subject now, each of the podcasts has a topic, and the one that we've chosen for you to talk about, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a little muddy, it's a little murky because it's so much noise around it right now. There are so many. So today's subject is applying AI to customer experience, and we want to talk real applications. There's so many AI companies. I was joking with someone at Contact Center Week a little while ago that I was going to put AI after my name. I'm just going to become like Brandon.ai because there's so many companies talking about AI right now, and you can just. I was in a workshop, and you could just see the utter befuddlement on the face of customers because so many companies are saying they do AI this, AI that. So much of AI is still, it's going to be able to do this or it's going to be able to do that. And for people in the contact center space right now, especially the IT folks probably have a CTO or CIO or a CEO who's saying, get me that AI, because they have FOMO. They hear everybody has it. So I'm looking forward to this conversation, Giles, because I want to break it down. I want to talk about what things are available to the contact center space from AI right now, and then we'll talk some more of the future stuff. But I want to help these people right now, right where they are. So I want to jump right in, man. Ken, first of all, does AI even apply to the contact center? Like, can I do anything with AI in the contact center right now?
Absolutely, Brandon. Now, first thing to answer that question is I know that everybody is at risk of just glazing over and going, oh my God, not another podcast on AI. So let's just
Yeah.
get some of that out there and take some of that away. Like, we know there's been 1,000 miles of stuff about AI, and you're just at risk of drowning in it. So how should you actually like approach that? And what we found is we've got to narrow it down. We've got to say, like,
Yeah.
where can we apply AI into the contact center? And what's going to be really practical and easy? And most importantly, that our staff are going to love as opposed to hate. Like, this is a new development. We want them to be like excited by it, to be in a company or an organization that is actually doing some great stuff, some exciting stuff that they feel really good to be a part of. So I want to encourage people listening to think about what I call the long list of AI opportunities for you, which I think is about 15, and that's it. Like you should set out 15
Mm.
and then narrow it in. I've got three suggestions here, which I think really are great to start with. I've narrowed in on the subject and worked with clients on this to say, where are you going to get the biggest impact that's really beneficial? It's going to bring you back time. It's going to help you retrieve agent time, getting value back into your contact center. And so here's a few things just to be thinking about. One of the biggies that's available right away is the impact that AI can make on after call work. Actually, if you go back historically, we haven't spent enough time on after call work as an industry. It absorbs huge amounts of time in our contact centers, whether it's 30 seconds or 3 minutes or even 10 minutes in your contact center. But with an AI capability, we can summarize the interaction because every interaction is being listened to or read by your AI support tool. And the beauty is immediately the interaction is over, there's a summary. Bam, there you go. Now, you're going to get back all that after call work time. So I think that's one of the biggest impacts on the industry we've seen for a long time. But it's not the only one. And I've got to give some credit to Juanita Coley here because she gave me the saying, just-in-time training. We know it as Agent Assist, but Agent Assist is readily available now. And as you're going through any interaction, but particularly voice calls, I love the way that we can just pop up information onto the screen. That's going to help the agents by upskilling them more quickly. It's going to just give them that support of knowing there's the information they need because AI is listening to the interaction. So that's my second one. And my third one, I think, is at the beginning of the interactions, the huge value that AI can bring in many ways, whether it's in the IVR, your virtual agent, your chatbot, improving that. And we're having a lot of discussion with people about how to improve the chatbot by using AI because it is generative AI and not you're not having to formulate decision trees and that as with the old generation of chatbots. So that's my third one. So I don't want to take up the whole of today about AI, but those are three quick things that you can do to get back agent time and make people feel good about it, get them working on better things, and just what we all want to do, just show love to the staff by actually taking away some of the stuff that's hard for them.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking when we've all the guests I've had and myself, we've been in this space a long time. So it's funny when you were talking about one of the AI things, I reminded me of this story. A customer I was consulting, and they had a list of after call work like resolution codes, and they were getting concerned because the resolutions they were getting for the calls wasn't matching the marketing and stuff that they were doing, and they had something like 80% of their calls were being the resolution the agent was choosing was one of the first 4 or 5 choices. And what this company had recently done is they updated their system and they took out other and miscellaneous because they said they were getting that too much and they wanted to do a breakdown, but then they weren't getting the information they wanted. And I looked, Giles, they went from they had 10 codes and they were getting miscellaneous the most. They went away from that and they introduced 63 after call work codes. And they were wondering why they were wondering why all the answers were from the first 4. I was like, because those agents are not looking at the rest of that crap. They don't even know those other 59 are there. So y'all should
You
just
got it.
stop. Yeah,
You got it.
but
And that
but I
makes me think
love
of
the
like
fact.
quality
Oh yeah,
monitoring. That used
it's
to,
funny.
in that example you just gave, that used to be the nightmare of the quality management people because they'd be listening in and seeing like, hey, you said this was about this topic in the disposition, but I listened to that and this was about this. Yeah, and they're going to love it because when you've actually got AI listening to all the interactions and putting up stuff in the quality management tool
Yes.
saying, yeah, this is about either one or two of these different topics. And the agent can say, yeah, it was that one. That's going to make it good for the agents too and good for the
Of
quality
course.
control and just good overall because it's so much more accurate. We're going to just,
Yeah.
those days when you used to pick 1 in 10 calls to listen to and score and go,
Yes. Yes.
oh my God, I
Because
got to
we,
do my QM again. Yeah,
yeah. And then
that's all right.
we were giving agents whole quality scorecard reports and in a lot of cases impacting their pay and their bonus and everything off of like one phone call they took in a whole month. That was so bad. We're sorry, agents. That was so bad. So bad. We should have been doing that. Um,
But
but
I
the
gotta tell
AI,
that I'm
go ahead.
sorry to interrupt you, Brandon, but you just made me think of something which is really another great agent support tool as well. This is sort of from the modern world of what's available today in contact center land. So excited for the generative AI team leader. So can you believe? I mean, this is operating now in a contact center, not far from me, about 5Ks away from me here. We've got some live, real team leaders, humans, actual people, right? Team leaders in the contact center, and we've got an AI team leader. So if you've got a question and your team leader's tied up, it's like, hey, turn around, put that question to the AI team leader. You'll probably get
Yeah.
the answer. And here's
Yes.
this. The team is actually loving it
Yeah.
because the poor old team leaders are stressed out. The supervisor, the 2IC, they're
Absolutely.
busy. And a lot of those questions they get are just so routine over and over because that poor new agent who's just 3 weeks into the job and needs to upskill and learn so much. So I think one
Yeah.
of the most exciting and cool things that's come into the industry recently is the AI team leader that you can put any question to. Ask me anything. And I
Yeah.
hear from the manager who's running that in his center, which is in financial services, they've got a team of about 20 and they're running the virtual AI team leader. They are excited about it, loving it.
Wow.
Even to the extent of putting their one-on-ones to the AI team leader,
Wow.
just to hear what's coming back from the agents because they're not afraid to talk to the AI team leader. They'll ask them anything, they'll tell them anything. They like, oh my God. And they'll call out the manager and say, hey, you were going to get us that marketing stuff about that promotion this next week. You haven't done it. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool development.
I love that. And like you said, you don't have to worry about uh the notes being off base. You don't have to worry about anything offensive being in the notes. I know I worked at a company one time, and that was a big concern of ours because of how heavily regulated we were. At any point, our notes, our records, our files could be in court, and when you're talking, a few thousand agents, each taking a couple hundred, 100 or so calls a day, and each writing their own notes freehand, that's a big risk,
Yeah,
for what they're
yeah.
going to put in as the notes from that call. So I love the AI doing that. Talk to me a little bit about the concern that some people may have about the security around AI, and also the accuracy of AI, right? If you depending on the different types that you're using, we've all heard the horror stories, right? I know there was one recently where this guy convinced the AI to send him like a pickup truck for $1 or something like that. I think there was another one where the AI misconstrued a question and was offering free airline tickets. So how can companies avoid some of those pitfalls?
Well, in our industry, there's also lots of stories that are more rumor than they are
Yeah,
fact. So, right.
thankfully,
So,
yes.
yeah. So there's lots of horror stories and they get embellished. And so I just want to draw a couple of parallels. Do you remember the days when we first started really getting IVRs improved and tightened up and getting them to work? And there was lots of those nightmare stories of people going round and round in IVRs. And maybe some people experience that, maybe. Um,
Hmm.
but nowadays, we just don't hear that stuff anymore. We've evolved. And if there's
Right.
nothing this industry does other than it does very, very well, is evolve and continue to improve and develop. It's just as continuous. And, for those of us who are happy with that, we love it. It's what helps us get out of bed every day. Um, you know, the industry is going to improve. All the tools just keep getting better. Now, security, um, I can't make a generic statement about that because every tool is different,
Hmm.
and security is incredibly important. But I'm coming at it from a slightly different angle to answer your question. What's the agent's point of view? So I had this really good experience just very recently with a manager of a center, and she invited me in to talk to a couple of agents in the center, and we literally sat in front, right next to two agents, asking them about the fact that we're introducing recording into the center, and how did they feel about this? What sort of things did they feel? And the agent said to me things that I wasn't expecting. One of them was, well, we have these compliance statements we have to read out, and I can't wait for them to record calls because then I know that I do read out the compliance statements. We do the disclosure, and it's
Oh,
all going to
wow.
be there. So I don't have to say to my manager, did I do it? It's like, you've seen it, it's there. So I think from
That's
a
good.
agent point of view, they're going to be very happy because it's so easy to retrieve and get the
Mhm.
information back. Also, from the security point of view, it's going to give excellent compliance for businesses because everything's recorded, everything's transcribed. There are summaries to check. It's quick to retrieve. It's stored amazingly quickly and retrievable out of the cloud databases. So. Yeah, I think we're just going to accept that that's the new way of life going forward, and we know that the natural language models, the transcriptions just get better and better all the time, and picking up dialects and that as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
a
think
good
you hit the part that I wanted to hit because I think it is a lot of I think it's isolated things that get blown out of proportion. But let's face it, we do that because they're more sensational, right? They're more memorable. It's more exciting and fun to talk about, AI robots taking over the world than it is to talk about an AI helping an agent, help a customer. So we do hear the horror stories. But with that said, there is and I don't want to say whether it's founded or unfounded, but I do know that there are several companies that do shy away from AI in general because of the fear of the unknown, because they don't know enough about it, or they don't know enough about how to use it. So speaking to those people out there in the audience who may have somebody in IT saying, "Hey, we should do AI," or they may have somebody in executive leadership saying, "Hey, maybe we should do AI," and they may be a leader that's just they're a little slow to respond to it because they're a little afraid, they're a little skittish about it. How can you help them?
um, well, first thing is they're welcome to call me. Get on
Yeah.
online. I'm happy to talk to anyone. um, Breaking it down to just individual functions one at a time. So let's realize that we're not just going to take over the whole world. The contact center isn't going to be replaced with AI and everybody loses their jobs. That's not going to happen. Pick
Mhm.
off a small aspect of what you want to do and bring in that one piece and test it. So, and just moving away from AI a little bit, it's sort of an associated topic, but I had a manager of a 20-seat sales finance center. uh,
Mm-hmm.
looking at possibly moving from a phone system, traditional sort of unified comms phone system into a cloud-based contact center. And uh, when he actually reviewed the call routing, um, he came up with these ideas of overflow, call overflow, and
Oh.
transfer to other teams so that they were
Mm-hmm.
always answering every call. And good, glad to hear them doing that. I said to him, look, that's a good strategy. Let's just look also at your reporting. Let's just follow some of that call routing as you divert or transfer and overflow to another team and make sure that what happens is we pick up that the call was answered and you don't end up with any sort of abandoned call reporting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that was a fairly simple way of just in one aspect of their contact center that they're improving to um, get some external assistance who can bring another set of eyes to it and with experience be able to say, and the area where this is possibly going to lead to needing some improvement, something might go wrong, you've
Mm-hmm.
got to actually is probably in this area. And in that case, it was reporting. He hadn't thought of that and he just went, great, that's excellent. So I think getting that external view of an objective, experienced, capable outsider to look in and help is the way of making sure that you have thought of everything. You know, you've started with something that's quite manageable, quite small, and just deliver that to begin with and let it run
Yeah.
to see how it goes. Yeah, that's how we help people, and they seem to be happy. They stay. They keep coming
Yeah,
back.
yeah. Oh, they're definitely happy. I can see that from the reporting. So I know they're having this thing around. And I love the point that you made because you made it before. And I do think it's great advice. I think when entering into this AI space, because there's so much confusion, so many different companies saying the same things, I do think it's important that, like you said, just take it slow. There's no reason to rush. If you start off with a small small opportunity where you can reduce the agent's time on mundane tasks or something like that, like every little bit helps though. And I think it's good because it allows the customer to get accustomed to implementing AI and stuff like that. So I think that's great advice to do that. Uh, I want to touch on, and this one is just there's no wrong answer. This is just either your expertise or your imagination based on what you know about AI. What do you think's coming? What are some of the more interesting things you're looking forward to do? I mean, you talked in the beginning about what's available in AI right now and
Yeah.
how it can help, and I love that. But let's use shake your crystal ball there. What in your mind is coming down the pike in the future that you're interested in?
Well, I'm going to start with the one that I think is really here, and it's like this is the first like simple like why aren't you doing this? And then I've got a second one, which is the from the land of the left field, which we'll come to next.
All right.
The first one is in contact center land, we have always sort of known that in the after hours period, you may get a very different level of service than you do in the business hours period for a lot of contact centers.
That's
And
fair. Mhm.
likewise with peaks and troughs, when contact centers get into a period of peak volume, we know that it gets all out of shape and our service levels turn to custard. Now, with this is one of the best reasons for having chatbots and putting in a virtual agent is that you should be answering every call. We shouldn't have abandoned calls anymore. I think that
Right.
industry could change if you introduce your virtual agent and do at least just call answering and bringing in.
Oh
So for
yes.
virtual web chat, they can get an immediate interaction, immediate answer, and some
Hmm.
initial authentication or some initial identification of what the interaction is about. What are you getting in touch with us about? And very near for many, and I've actually already seen this. So I've heard it. Uh, Voice-based AI response for voice calls.
Oh,
So that if we can't get a live person to answer that call, we can have a voice interaction with AI to at least answer, authenticate, find out what you're calling about, um, and have some intelligent interaction. Now, so my first point there was in terms of peaks and troughs for web chat, and to start with, every interaction should be answered. We can get a lot of initial information. So contact centers that don't offer web chat and their customers are having to suffer with only voice or email, you know, you can do that, and all your after hours, all weekends, can be there can be a response. Uh, and from the area of left field, the generative AI natural voice call from an AI
ooh,
based voice bot,
yeah,
having been through a couple of demonstrations now of actually hearing it and hearing the interaction from a customer who um, wasn't prepared for an AI based voice interaction. That is from left field, but I think coming very soon to a town like you,
I
because
like,
this
I
is
love
real.
it.
And I'll tell you why it's coming, because it may not be your contact center that actually brings it in. But if you're in a competitive landscape where people are trying to
Mm.
win new customers and you might be the market leader, that new entrant into your industry won't be afraid to use a voice-based AI bot to call your customers and try and woo them over to their business
Yeah,
and away from your
absolutely.
business. So, in all those really stable industries like energy, insurance, maybe even car sales, um, some disruption will happen when new entrants who don't have a big customer base start putting
Hmm.
the AI-based voice outbound call into action. And for me, that is, well, I've heard it. I've been through the demos. I've seen it, and that is something I'd be encouraging everybody to look into and start actually wanting to see and hear more about it, because
Yeah.
you might find your customers start going off to the new disruptor.
And I like that on both sides actually, because if I do it and implement it in my contact center, then I'm ahead of the curve. But also, if I don't do it, then my competitor is going to be ahead of the curve. I mean, because it's definitely something that's going to happen. So I love that. Along those lines, now this is the fun part, because you get to say whatever you want. But I always like these to be practical. I want something that the attendees can walk away and say, okay, that's an actionable thing I can do, or that's something I've been doing that I want to stop doing. So based on your experience, I mean, you've been in the game for a long time. You have people and experts in multiple countries over there. So what's your advice? What's the one or two things you want to share, or you wish customers knew?
Wow, where to start? Well, okay, the first is around engaging internally. So I want to remind people that when you are looking at a change project and transforming your contact center, bringing in new implementations, um, don't forget to get out there and talk to some agents. It doesn't all have to be done in the back office, secret black box stuff. Like, um, go and tell them what you're thinking. And like,
Yeah,
hey, we're thinking of doing this. What do you think? What would it be? And you've got some amazing, every contact center's got some amazing people on the front line
yeah.
in their agents, smart, capable individuals. Go and talk to them and tell them a bit about it. The other thing is for those who are the sort of the IT, the business manager, project manager, transformation manager people. I heard a story the other day where they were looking for a new contact center And they set up a panel internally. They got out there and they got several quotes in. And I talked to the contact center manager, and that person said to me, "Oh, I wasn't actually on that panel. So I'm not actually right up to date." So, like, hey guys, remember that the people that are in the business
Yes.
and hear from customers every day, and they know how the systems work.
They're your best resource.
And so uh, the contact center manager should also therefore be actually initiating the change. It's like if
Yes.
things keep bugging you and you're not getting, and the one we hear about regularly is reporting, like if you aren't getting the analytics you want, if you don't get the reports, if you don't get the quality management tools that assist, then ease the evaluation of that, or for your workforce management, whether it's your automated forecasting and scheduling tools, um, don't just sit around actually putting up with it.
Yeah.
Kick out and say, like, let's get something happening here. Who can we actually get out there and talk to? Get someone to actually call and get some help. There's lots going on to bring a very easy transformation into your contact center. It doesn't really take too long anymore, and you don't have to put up with that. We hear
That's awesome.
that people are still not able to actually forecast what their volumes are going to be because they just don't get
Hmm.
the reports out of their systems. Yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't have to be the way. Um,
No, that's not the way to do it. Not
so
the way to do it.
yeah, those are sort of for the smaller centers particularly. They're the ones that are possibly easiest to help and also
Yeah.
most often need the help. I know a lot of bigger centers, if you've got a couple of hundred staff already, you've probably got much, all of those processes are probably pretty well honed. So,
Hmm.
there's other things that are going to be important for those large centers.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Because oftentimes that stakeholder is not considered. Man, this has been very informative. And I know I know you guys may have to rewind and go back and forward a little bit to catch some of that stuff. Don't feel bad. You can do that. Giles, you've been at this a long time. I always enjoy talking to you, man. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Brandon. Been great.